Hey yogis, Josie here, and welcome to the YogaLocal podcast. This is going to be a wrap-up of the week and just diving into the focus of our yoga practice, our asana practice, which has been all about the Gunas this week and these qualities that make up everything in the manifest world. So before we go into that, just coming back to this idea that yoga is this bold quest to move us back into our unlimited nature, so our Purusha soul. And we shouldn't be shy of, embracing yoga as this practice because that's what it is. That's what we're working towards. And all practice, all asana practice, all meditation practice is leading us to sattva, to purity, to go beyond the play of the gunas, which throw us out of balance. They throw us away or interrupt our connection to this connection to soul. So sattva is one of the three gunas. There's tamas, rajas, and sattva. They're all important. We need all of them. But as the yogis believe that, if any one of these gunas is out of balance, out of calibration, out of alignment in terms of our own kind of individual makeup, then we will suffer. So what are the qualities? Sattva, we've already said, it's purity, clarity, peace, steadiness, stability. Rajas is more that energy of creativity, is movement, turbulence. It's more fast moving, it's enlivening, energizing, but can also be very ungrounding. And then tamas is the energy of density, of stagnation and unmovingness, inertia, lethargy, and but also a sense of groundedness as well. So, and for any one of these gunas, which forms our kind of material experience, is out of balance, then we're out of balance. And there's a little bit of a clue in the word guna with that first kind of portion of the word gu. Gu keeps us connected to our material experience. And we want to use our yoga practice to move us beyond the material and start to access those more subtle aspects of who we are, aligning us more with Purusha, more with soul, more with our highest sense of self. So, in terms of the gunas and how they play out in our own experience, kind of ties in with like this idea that we're all born into this world with some grand idea. It's like it's called the Mahad, which also links into Dharma, and we are materially made up with the specific calibration to move us into or towards purpose. So we've all got an individual makeup, and when we are moving towards balance, towards our own kind of specific calibration of rajas, tamas, and sattva, then we thrive and we move towards more soul, living from the soul level rather than from lower mind. So how do we kind of know when we're in our rajas, when we're in our tamas, when we're feeling sattvic? So these can show up in our emotions and they can show up in our meditation practice. So, for example, if you are rajasic, meditation will be quite difficult, because we're in the turbulence of the movement, of the momentum, of the creativity. There's too much going on in the mind space. If you kind of identify with someone who sits in meditation and is kind of, I haven't got time for this, I'm far too busy to sit and meditate, that's a rajasic mind, and that's kind of counter to the quality that you need to have a productive meditation. Okay. Similarly, if you're tamasic, your meditation is probably going to be a little bit fruitless, because our mind's too clouded. We're too in our own emotions. We're too in our suffering or our density. One of the sure signs of a tamasic kind of yogi in meditation is a yogi that falls asleep during meditation. I mean, obviously that can be down to lack of sleep, but if you know you're getting plenty of sleep, then and you're falling asleep during meditation, that might be because the tamas, that inertia, is more at play. And of course, if we're in that sattvic space, emotionally we're ready, we're more available, we're ready to receive, we're open to the experience, that connection, that line of communication, if you like, is open, and meditation will be way more productive. And emotionally, we're also way more grounded. We're we have peace of mind. There's no karma dramas playing out, and ultimately, it's about creating that environment for meditation to be successful. So I want you to maybe have a little think, or chat back, pop in the comments, talk to us about where you feel you're hanging out, where the gunas are playing a very key role in your experience of life right now. Are you more in your tamas? Things feeling a little bit lethargic? Are you struggling to find the momentum to practice? Are you struggling to find that momentum to meditate? Are you too much in your feeling self, unable to move, to shift? Or are you in that space of rajas, where you just creating so many karma dramas in your life right now that there is, no time to take care of yourself, to sit and be still and find enough space and steadiness to have these deeper connections with the self? Can you start to find times in your day where things are feeling a little bit more steady, more still, more clear? Start to look at the patterns of behavior that interrupt that balance. What starts to upset your equilibrium? How do you respond as a kind of default position? It's all taken us back to some of the other work that we've done this month, Svadhyaya, this self-study piece, like using yourself as like this little science project to move and propel yourself into more evolutionary states. And ideally, when we can start to be more operating from this sattvic state, we're more available and more able to access our grand idea, our reason for being here, be more soul aligned, make those choices from that space of like complete calibration and understanding and spontaneous right action. Life just begins to flow. You know, we're not putting obstacles in the way. So just as well, there's this, obviously we've talked about like the, you know, Purusha soul and coming from that space and being calibrated with your own kind of ingredients of Rajas, Tamas and Sattva, and working to find that balance, your own individual balance. And just recognizing that there's some sifting to do, which involves that kind of concept of ego. So in our ego sense of self, rather than our kind of more soul aligned sense of self, our ego sense of self has started to become modified. You know, it's modified our soul calibration has been modified into ego through all our thoughts, all our perceptions, all of our experiences, all this content that we've acquired during our lifetime starts to become part of our ego personality, which pulls us away from the connection to our soul self, our Purusha. So the whole idea of yoga is to start to notice and witness, when am I in ego self? When am I moving towards more a soul-centered, more aligned? When am I in balance? And it's interesting to just consider that at some point you might find that things feel good or feel right because it's just become part of your story. It's become part of your patterning. It's become part of a story that you tell yourself. And these are things to notice as not helping in that evolutionary desire to become more. So sometimes just be mindful. There's some things that we will be drawn to. The Gunas tend to attract like with like. So there are things that, you know, if we're already imbalanced, we'll be drawn to things that are in that that reflect that imbalance. So if we're already Rajasic, we might really love a really Rajasic practice because we're in that groove. But in order to recalibrate, we need to arrest some of that movement, bring it back, stabilize it. And fortunately, your yoga practice is beautifully designed, scientifically created to help you come back to balance. So if you're feeling more tamasic, then more grounded, more stuck, then maybe you need a more solar-based practice and start to consider coming to a rise practice. Equally, most of us are pretty Rajasic. We're pretty busy and overly stimulated and turbulent in the mind. So that's what the anchor practice is for, because it helps to bring in the opposite quality of tamas. But whether or not we're feeling tamas or rajas, the overall objective is to find sattva. So we can be in that state of purity, clarity, clear seeing, more aligned with who we really are, not in that ego sense of self, not just going through the motions, not just living a story that we've told ourselves, but really living from a place of wholehearted fulfillment and connection. So I think we'll leave it there. It's quite a long conversation on the Gunas, but I would love to get your feedback, hear about where you think you are in the world of the Gunas, and if you've got any questions at all, just pop them in the comments, and Alia or I will be more than happy to answer those for you. And just a little look into next week, because obviously we're moving into February, which means we've got a whole new theme and different focuses that we will be endeavoring to teach. It's February, so it would be remiss of us not to take hold of the idea that it's all about love in February, and ultimately that, you know, love is for yogis at the center of all reality. So we're going to explore, first of all, breath as our unconditional lover next week. So that part of us that, you know, is always there, is always present, and how we use the breath to to remember again our greatness and the gift of our life. So hope you enjoyed that. And as I said, if you've got any questions at all, please pop them in the comments or ask in class. Okay, so thank you for listening, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.